Hey, housewives, come on in. You know the dirty dishes are still in the sink from yesterday and the laundry is still in the basket. Pop your AirPods in and make yourself at home here.
I'm Tracy.
I'm Tori.
And we are your Unlikely Housewives. Stepping out in faith and believing that God calls the unlikely, we are here to show you the appreciation and validation you deserve, lead you to authentic relationships, and release you of believing the cultural lies to restore your faith and wellness.
Pull up those high-waisted yoga pants, tighten your top knot, and reheat your coffee for the third time. Turn up the volume, and let's go.
Hey, housewives, welcome back.
Hey, housewives, happy you're here.
Yeah, let's get jumping in today. We're excited.
I know. This was unplanned.
This is what we do. We come with an idea and then God says, hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah, I know. And you would die if you were on Girl Boss Rehab because I have one sentence written down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I just go. And thank God.
That's how God made you.
He did.
And he made me make a list.
I enjoy flying by the seat of my pants. And
I can't wait to see what you're like in a few more years when your brain starts to go like mine.
Lord, help us all. That's a prayer. That is, please, all y'all start praying for me now. No, actually, you don't have to pray for me because I'll be having the time of my life. Although, please pray for the people around me.
There you go.
Those are the people we need to pray for. My husband and children going, we have to do what? Well, this idea came from something that I have been doing the month of February. So on my social media, on Facebook, the end of January, God put it on my heart and just said, I just want you to share the love in February, which month love. And I was like, okay, this sounds okay, great. And he put on my heart 28, almost 30 different people, friends of mine that have their own individual businesses or everything from products to services. And then just things that I want you to share. I want you to just shout these people out or shout these businesses out. And
who doesn't love a good referral?
Right? That's what we do all day long.
Yeah.
When we're sitting on the couch talking to friends, where'd you get those pants?
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, $19.99.
Right.
Those kind of things.
Yep.
Let me text you the link. And so I just did it to be obedient in that. And so if you're listening to this and you go back and look at my Facebook, you can see I took a social media hiatus for a little bit, but I'm going to get back into it and I'm going to continue to do it a little bit through March to catch up. But what I found was that I got some really sweet messages from some of the people that I shouted out, which awesome. That's great. I'm glad that I was able to do something sweet for them, that it was meaningful for them. I was not doing it for that kind of reaction. I was doing it to be obedient. But then the other thing was on some of them, on these posts, yeah, I get likes. Just, whatever, however many, very few comments or, oh, these are cool or, oh, I love so-and-so too. But what I didn't realize was all the people that would be going to seek those things out and me not even know. One of the things that I share, and I share often if you follow me on social media, are my lovely, I'll say $7.99, thanks inflation. Now for my press-on nails that I absolutely love, new pair, check out those. I get complimented all the time and I'm like, y'all, this is amazing. I don't have to spend an hour in the salon anymore. So anyways, I just happened to be at a friend's house the other day and I saw on her stairs, who doesn't store things on the stairs that you have to take up the stairs?
We all do every night. Pick up what's yours before you go upstairs.
Yeah, it's funny how many things they pass and they know it's theirs and then just...
Especially the socks.
Yes. Have you ever tried baskets?
Yeah, we
with
did.
People with their names on them, just take the crap that's in your... No, it doesn't matter.
Mm-mm.
So anyways, on her stairs, I saw the nails and I was like, oh, those are the ones I use, and she goes, yeah, I actually got them because of you. And I was like, what? And she goes, yeah, I saw your post on social media. She's like, I needed to get my nails done, so I thought I'd try them. And I was like, oh, cool. I hope you like them, And so we started talking about these whatever nails. But then it made me start thinking how many people do I not know that those shout outs, affected? One of them was our vet that I absolutely love and adore. And I don't know if somebody tries that vet and that vet ends up saving their beloved cat or dog. I may never know that post is what triggered them to change vets because they were looking for one. And that essentially that's why their dog lived. Like, That's a very extreme example. But you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
those are so many things that, like, it's the impact. It's, as we were talking about, the butterfly effect.
We do this in our business, and we have experience in sharing, but we're used to going, oh, thank you so much for sharing this. I have so much more energy, or I lost weight, or this has helped my kid with this and XYZ.
Mm-hmm.
And so we get that validation, I guess, from it. And so we know that what we're doing and what we're sharing is great. Sure.
Right. And it is, there is definitely a shot of dopamine and oxytocin. Thank you. I was about to say Oxycontin. Not the same thing.
Different podcast.
Go back to Girl Boss Rehab. No, sorry. Had to say it. But when somebody says, thank you so much for giving me that shout out, that was so nice. And they're like, yeah, like that blesses me too. Like I definitely get a shot of love for that. And that makes me feel good. Right.
Yeah. However, it's the ones that we don't know that are making probably the greater wave.
Oh, absolutely.
The things that we share. I know I've been pretty open about my daughter's anxiety. I'm pretty open book when I have the time to speak about it or share about it, and hence why we do a podcast. But when I share about something, there are ripples. Like there's been a mom that's like, hey, so-and-so told me about the book that you shared that helped your daughter with anxiety. And we both have read it, and
yeah.
So it does happen. Sometimes you hear, but there's a lot of times that you don't.
Right.
And that's what we want to talk about today.
Like I said earlier, if you aren't familiar with the butterfly effect, essentially, I could read you the definition that we found on a website that neither one of us really understood until it was like in layman's terms. And
let's just tell you how we think about it.
Yeah. Basically, it's the theory that a butterfly flapping its wings in one part of the world. So the effect of that can cause essentially a tsunami in another part of the world. Now, logistically, that doesn't sound possible, but it's a chain reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not the butterfly itself it is the butterfly itself that triggers the tsunami, but there's a lot of pieces that come into that.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that we're looking at it, we're like, well, gosh, that's motherhood. And so often we minimize the
little things that we do.
Yeah. And that's why, when we're doing the laundry for the fourth time that day,
there we go.
Fourth time that day, fourth time in the 4 hours, right? No,
the same load for the fourth time because you
forgot it was in there and you're like, crap, where is that? And then you realize that it smells awful because it was left in the...
Ooh, mildew.
It's the last load of laundry. That's always the sucker that I'm like, oh, crap, because you're almost done and you got most of it. But yeah.
And it sits there.
And then it sits there.
We digress.
But it's those small tasks that lead to other things.
Yeah, the bigger impact. Even the little things of like as a mom, when the kids are little, the kissing the boo-boos, the helping them, the resilience of falling off the bike and getting back on, when you're trying to teach them to ride a bike, those kinds of things. Like those are going to have the greater impact. It's the little bit of discipline, not even discipline, just the like get
push.
Back up. Yeah, the push, the get back up, that you can do it.
I have that story from this past week.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm very much it's okay, baby. You don't have to do it again. I am so that mom. Like, just, you don't have to do that again. And so we took the girls skiing to this little bitty hill. It was a hill, not a mountain, a hill in Iowa. And we were just going to be there for one day. And we got them on the bunny hill. We got them a free little mini lesson, which if you're looking for a small little place around Kansas City, I'll tell you, it's great. Bigger than Snow Creek. And they had their little, and then they were in tears. Like, I don't want to do this again. And I'm like, well, good news. We're here until at least 5 because you have tubing tickets then. So you're going to get back on that animal. And that was tough, Mom. And they looked at me, and skiing's my thing, not Andrew's thing. I grew up skiing. He did not and has no desire to. So I walked up that hill with my snow boots with them, and they're both in tears. And, all the parents are looking at me like, wow, that's a mean mom. But I was like, nope, you're going to do it. You're going to do it. And Jay is crying, going, I like basketball so much better. I was like, girl, I do too. It's inside and warm. But I made them do it again and again. And they were mad as all get out at me and pouting and crying. And then by the fourth time, they're going down that little bunny slope. They're looking at me like, I got this. Peace. But I had to get them through that little impact of like, I know you don't want to, but we're going to do this. We're going to push through. And now I got he telling me that she wants to go skiing every single month. And Andrew and I are trying to figure out where her hidden trust fund is.
Right. Like, that is not a cheap sport.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, are you hiding money that we don't know about, that we're not? Okay. Mm-hmm. So,
and I mean, how many times have we done that, with the kids when they were little and pushing them through and when they don't want to get up and go to school and just those little things.
Or, Mommy, I have a tummy ache. And you're like, no, you just have a test today.
Yep, exactly. Every time we've pushed them through and every time we've encouraged them to go. I mean, we don't think those are little things, but those are the big things that will turn into a bigger impact.
We don't even think of those things.
Right. Exactly. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're right, too. You were getting there.
I was.
That's why. But those are the things that we don't think anything of. Like, we almost write those things off as moms. Like, we don't give ourselves enough credit. Or we start to think down on ourselves. We're like, gosh, all I got done today while the kids were at school was I cleaned the kitchen and I vacuumed their rooms and I went through and gave all this stuff to Goodwill that they don't play with anymore. We don't think that has any effect. Mm-hmm. But in reality, it does, because our kids feel comfortable in our house. So then they invite their friends over. Yeah. And so their friends come over and they know you as Miss Tracy, Miss Tori. Mm-hmm. They know that this house is safe. This house, they can talk about whatever they feel that they need to talk about. Like, it's full of love, that it's a neutral space. Like, that's why you clean the house the way that we do.
Yeah. Something actually just popped into my head. On Friday night, both my boys, this is like a typical Friday night thing. Both boys have friends over and I just love, it's brother time, but it's also friend time. And they all play basketball till wee hours of the night. And we have played like knockout as a family. We play basketball, we're very sports. And we've had many times where our kids have thrown a fit, gone inside crying on the family part. Gone inside crying, made a big deal out of it. They've yelled at each other, I hate you, like all those things. Yeah. And every single time, and let me tell you, we did this a lot in 2020. Like, we would just get outside and we'd play these games. Mm-hmm. And during all these times, these kids would throw these fits and we would come back together and we're like, listen, this is such a simple game. We're having fun. You are overreacting. Like, you can't overreact. If your friends are here and you overreact, are they going to want to come back and play with you? And on Friday night, we were getting ready to leave to take our daughters somewhere and all the boys were playing. And it was the cutest thing. I came up to the boys, there were 5 of them, and I said, huddle up. And I just said to them, I'm like, how do we play in this house? What do we do at the Stein's house? And both my boys said, we don't fight and we don't overreact. We get along and we make this fun. And I'm like, yes, and we got it. I know, but I huddled with 5 boys, preteen and only 2 to teenage boys. Yeah. Only 2 were mine. And these boys took it on. And you guys, they played for 5.5 hours. It was amazing. These boys, they were outside the whole night, not playing video games. It was those little things that that was a moment for me, not a big thing.
Yeah.
But we worked through it. I mean, years and years of working through just those little moments.
Right. And that reminds me of something. I want to say it's Paul David Tripp, but I also want to say that it's Dr. Henry Cloud that also has reiterated it, that there are no big moments. Mm-hmm. There are just lots of little moments that lead up to the big moment. You didn't decide on your wedding day to get married, and you're not marrying him because, well, it's him. There were lots of little moments in there that made you decide, yes, this is who I want to raise a family with. This is who I want to be attached with for the rest of my life. It was lots of little moments there. And so often we don't give those little moments the credit that they deserve.
Yeah. I'm all for the little moments and the little joys, because that's what makes the hard times better. And that's why I love taking pictures and taking videos, because those little things, when you're having a bad day and you go back and just look at that little moment, it brings so much joy.
Also, you have to also record the bad little moments.
I never get to.
I swear one of the funniest videos that I have.
Oh, I do too.
Okay, is both of the girls having epic meltdowns.
Tantrums.
Yes.
Oh, I got one too.
Oh, it is glorious. It is. And it is mommy's voice in the background is just calm, cool, and collected. And it's like, and why are you upset? Don't know. Oh, so good to remember those moments and also to share those moments with your children.
Yes.
And be like, oh, you remember? Oh, you think you're perfect, don't you? No, you have been a little butthead. You know, like, hey, humble yourself. Yeah. But yeah,
we love those family videos. That's good. We remind each other of those tantrums.
Mm-hmm. Those are good.
So I do have some of those. I don't have any of the current ones. I think as they get older, the phone doesn't come out as quickly as when they were a toddler. And right.
Well, also when they were a toddler, you could wait the 45 seconds it was before you corrected them for getting into your makeup and saying what have you done? Mm-hmm. You could say, hold on.
Let me get my phone.
Let me get my phone. You take one picture and then you set the phone down and then you go, no, ma'am, you do not get in mommy's makeup. And then they're like, what? Okay. So
I know.
Did you take
We're
a picture?
Confusing.
Yes. But I mean, this leads us into those little moments of how our kids catch, well, more is caught than taught.
Yeah. Well, and we have the good actions and the bad actions of what they catch watching us.
When you hear your kid say something and you're like, oh, yeah, that's me. I say that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember one time when Braylon was little, I was sitting out on the deck. She was playing with her babies and I asked her to come over and do something. And she turned to me and she said, just a minute. I was like, what? Just a minute. I'm like, excuse me. I must say just a minute a lot. I think I still do. I just don't like to be interrupted. So maybe that's what it is. I must have said that a lot as a mom.
Yeah.
Kids, like just a minute.
Yes.
There's other good things too. The other little moments that you know that they were picking up on or they were seeing and being sweet to their sibling or taking care of them. And
okay, so tell the name of what you called the this one.
I was talking about this earlier. So I remember when we had our third baby, my daughter was only 22 months older. And I remember we're sitting there and nursing him and taking him and putting him to bed. And when I came out from nap time, she's sitting on her little couch with her nursing cover, AKA Hooter Hider.
That is completely new term for me.
Nope. We all called him that. Even my husband, he's like, you got your Hooter Hider in the diaper bag? Like,
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
I have no idea where it came from.
Can we call bras that now? I like that name instead of boulder holder. It's good.
I don't got boulders, so I don't think
there's no boulders. There's not after you've had children.
No. Nope. Oh, that's
hill hiders.
But anyway, she was sitting there and talking to her sweet baby under the nursing Hooter Hider. And she had a little doll under there and she was talking to him like I was talking to baby Garrett. It was the sweetest little thing.
Yeah.
So some good things are taught.
Yeah.
The caring, the loving, the kissing, the boo-boos, the picking up each other.
And that's what we're meant for. Like, you know, there was a book we read for a Bible study one. I think it was like Mission of Motherhood. And it was talking about seeing motherhood as your mission field. And so often we think about that just affecting our children. And yes, that's definitely 90% of it is like the mission field of raising up disciples and kids who their priorities are straight. They have biblical worldview. Their morals and values are aligned. Like, hey, that's a good chunk of it. But also in that is the saying is you may not be the next Billy Graham or, you know, Jack Hibbs. You may be raising the next Billy Graham or Jack Hibbs. But I want to go even a step further. And while you may not be raising the next Billy, you may not even be raising a neurosurgeon. I don't, you know, or the kid that cures cancer. I don't know. But you may be raising the kid who inspires by doing something to the other kid who is going to be the one that invents something or feels inspired enough or because your kid was kind to them on the playground that they go out and they create the next greatest thing or, you know, or they become the next wonderful pastor and preacher. Like even that ripple effect I was just talking to Andrew about it, and I'm like, I was like, we really got to rethink our idea of like where we were putting money for our kids, because we do invest money for our children to use, and we laugh and say we'll pay for 1 degree, 1 marriage, and the rest you can use for therapy.
Yes.
So that's what will help you. But then I'm like, do we really want to pay for 1 degree? Like,
right.
Not that if my kid wants to go to college, I'm not going to lead them up to say, like,
this is your next step.
This is your next step.
Yeah.
I mean, if my daughter comes home and says, Mom, I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to say, okay, well then college. Yeah. Nobody's going to let you operate on them if you don't have a medical degree, sweetheart. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. But I also don't want them to just think like they have to go to college, and so by, myself being raised by 2 entrepreneurs, and then me being an entrepreneur and doing different things and stepping outside of the box. And I mean, like, how many people, well, it feels like the whole world now has a podcast, but
right.
Like when we said, hey husbands, we're going to start a podcast, they were like,
and then they were like, yeah,
all right.
Of course. You talk a lot. You should.
Yeah. Your husband I'm pretty sure he said, and he goes, what? The book's not first? Like that was, and he goes, but all right, this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's kind of those things that we're setting up. It's the
multi-generational effect.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yes. We have them on us that we're working through, what the good and the bad that came down multi-generationally to us.
Yes.
And then what was brought into our marriage and into our family. And then you create this new core of what are my family values that I want to continue to impress upon my kids and their friends, and have that multi-generational effect as well.
Right.
And that is what we call the unleashing the motherhood effect.
Right.
And you have an interesting story about how you came to faith in your family. Yeah, you have a story for us.
Yes. So my great grandmother, Esther Hill, she was at a Billy Graham revival in California. And it is because of her that my grandmother came to faith. And because my grandmother came to faith, she led my mom to faith. And because my mom was led to faith, my dad was not raised in a house with Christian faith. So my dad was saved through my mom and her family. And then I was saved. And now, like, I married Andrew, he came from a family that was saved. And there's a lot of different things like that. But it's interesting. And I have to say this because we were talking about generational like habits, things that are broken. So my great grandmother, she was married 3 times, I believe, 3 times. Both of my parents were married before they met each other. And so they were both divorced once, then met each other. No kids in either relationship. And they've been married for 41 years now. And while my dad's parents, they were married the whole time, but my mom came from a home that, of divorce. And then Andrew's parents both were married previously before them. And then they got married, and then they've been married for another, at least, we're looking at 46, 47 years. And God redeemed the broken marriages. And that's it's incredible to me on how
lineages
changed in such a way, because divorce is getting more common.
Yeah, it is. And I think that's something that, with this motherhood effect or essence of what we're talking about, we want to create that impact that lasts. And in order for that to happen in motherhood, it needs to happen in your marriage too. Now, you can still have impact in your motherhood if you're single or divorced. That's not what we're saying.
What I was going to just say to that is that, don't neglect. Don't think that your only impact is through your children.
Yeah. Yeah. And we just want to encourage, because we've been through it and because we know the value of your marriage and the example it sets to your children for what marriage should look like for them, but also they have such a sense of security knowing that your marriage is a priority in the family.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about that. You and I both, all of our kids know that it's God first, marriage second, kids third. You know?
Yeah. Like they very clearly know that daddy comes second. That is our like, hey girls, this is the hierarchy in our family. And the first trip that Andrew and I took without our children was when Io was 6 months old.
Mm-hmm. Us too.
Yeah.
I think he was 4 months old. Maybe he was 6 months. But yeah, we took many trips, 6 months and at 9 months. I mean, we
yeah.
And that was like the Dominican Republic. And
I was going to say ours was Hawaii was like, so there was no quick trip back home.
Right.
Like, would I suggest Hawaii being your first 8-hour flight away from your brand new baby and you've never changed a diaper before? So, you know, a couple of Panatex there, I'm sure. But for myself.
Things are easier now to travel that far. I remember we had to pay for international self-service while we were out for both these trips. And the only way we could talk was through Skype so that we could see him.
Oh, that's funny. I didn't even think about that. I know I was thinking about just our trip to on our honeymoon. Didn't have kids then. But how we turned Andrew's phone off completely. And we told the family, like, if you need, call this one phone. Because we didn't pay for both of ourselves to have international service. But when we were overseas too, in Rome, we had them email us. Yeah. We're like, look, there are no emergencies. And actually there was a death in the family while we were overseas and they emailed.
Yes.
So crazy how
things are different.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, like, if that's all you get out of this episode, go take a trip with your husband by yourself. Like,
yeah, right?
Leave your children behind. Let them know. Because if you haven't figured it out already, eventually your children are going to leave the house. Eventually your children should leave the house. Okay. I think that's changed more so these days.
Right.
But they will leave the nest. And then if you do not have this communication, if your marriage has not been a priority over your children, you're not going to know who that person you're sleeping with is anymore when your kids are gone. And then you're going to be like, who are you? And you're going to like, let's say we grew apart or, you know, like, I just don't know who he is anymore or like those kind of things. Don't let that happen. Like, know who your person is now and create that sense of security for your kids.
Yeah. And ask the questions. I mean, this is why we do this podcast, is because we want to bring awareness to you of something that you maybe haven't thought about.
Right.
You know, and maybe you are thinking about it, but you haven't made a step to do anything about it.
Right. And it's like the question that you asked me earlier was, do you want this to be the best that you've ever had? Mm-hmm. And like, no, I only want my relationship with my husband to get better. I only want us to grow. Like, we are a complete 180 to where we were when we lived in Texas. Like, who knew? God did. The Sunday school answer is always Jesus.
Yes.
like Jesus. No, we were just asking what time it was. Yeah. Like no, I want it to get better. I don't want this to be the peak. I don't want this. Are there going to be valleys? Yes.
Yes.
Are there going to be tough times? Yes. I don't want this to be the best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good.
Yeah. But you just want it to get better.
Right.
And if you're not focusing on it and you're not thinking about the impact, the effect it's going to be, your marriage effect, the motherhood effect, all the things, then our question to each other is like, what is your forever? Like, what does that look like? What do you want people to remember you by? What do you want people to remember? Like the example that you set. What do you want your kids to remember? You know?
Yeah.
Those are like, and we are asking more from a spirituality, you know, like, where's your faith? Where's your heart? Like, that's really where we, you know, want to talk about what really where we're going with this is, what does that look like? Is it, you know, oh, it ends here, or I've done enough, or hey, this is it for today, or are you going to dig deeper and realize that, like, hey, if this is your mission field, which we all know motherhood is your mission field, if God blessed you with children, absolutely.
No matter what kind of children.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're not a biological mom. It doesn't matter whether you've adopted or you're fostering, or even the fact is, like, if you're an empty nester now and there are neighborhood kids who come into your house because, you know, like their parents come over, like, you still have people to influence, to impact. And it's the little things. It's telling your kids to invite the neighborhood child to church, not you calling the parent and saying, hey, my girls want to know if so-and-so can come to church with us. No, have your kids learn how to invite somebody to church. If that's not a skill that we all need to learn about how to, like, you know, like I talked to my girls, one of them has a basketball team, and I'm like, you know, when you're sitting there talking to your friends, have you ever asked your friends if they know Jesus?
Mm-hmm.
And the girls are like, no. I was like, yeah. I was like, not everybody goes to a Christian school, so, you know, you should ask.
Yeah. My 8-year-old, she always says, is so-and-so a Christian? Do they know Jesus? I'm like, I don't know. You should ask them. And she typically does. And then my older kids are like, why is she like that? Why is she so? I'm like, dude, you don't get
She's going to be a televangelist.
Yeah,
and
I don't get to tell her to stop. You don't get to tell her to stop.
I can totally see B going, all right, everybody, come to.
And she will.
What is your relationship with Jesus? Come to Jesus. Let me tell you how he healed me. I'm going to die. She will.
She will. I know. And it's not our job to tell her to stop. I mean, God can use little children.
Yes. So that's what we want to leave you with. And for all of my secret musical theater geeks, I'm going to leave you with a quote as well from the musical Hamilton that says, what is a legacy? A legacy is planting seeds in a garden you never get to see. So, like Tracy said, what is your forever? Are you cherishing the little moments and realizing that those little moments can make ripples and waves that you have no idea how God is going to use? And when we all get to heaven, you can ask and be like, hey, you know that one time that you made me stop and talk to my neighbor? And, you know, I feel like we'll get to have like little reels of like those little moments.
Yep.
I mean, there'll be something else I don't know. Is there a heaven Instagram? Heavengram? I don't know.
I hope not.
Oh,
I can't wait to close that chapter.
Won't that be fun though? Just to see little reels of our life and like all the little things of how it affected.
Like,
can we just have an episode where I talk about like all the questions I'd like to ask Jesus?
Yeah.
Or like all the people I want to meet in heaven and be like, all right, David, let's talk. All right.
Let's do that.
Let's have questions.
That's a good one.
You know, so there you go. Next episode, y'all. Okay. Called Creating Content.
Yes.
Okay.
And every moment.
Every moment. All right, housewives. Well, we love you. We're praying for you. And
we're thankful.
Yes. Just thankful for the opportunity to share with you and thankful for you to tune in each week.
Yep. And continue to unleash your motherhood effect.
Yes.
Until next week.
Bye.
Whether we made you laugh or cry today, we pray you feel appreciated, bolder and braver than yesterday, stronger and more faithful for tomorrow, and living in who you were made to be today.
Join our online community on Facebook, link in the show notes, and be sure to review and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you enjoy listening. Until next time, housewives, we give you permission to walk confidently, free, and to be intentional in your slippers or stilettos.